Hey, what is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Smart Flip, the Phone Flippers podcast. And today, guys, I've been trying to set up this interview for a while, and finally here, caught him on a day he's off. Saturday, but it is what it is. So today, guys, we have Ken with us. Ken has been in Recelerator for probably about 8 or 9 months now. I know you joined, and then you had to back out, and then you rejoined, and then you really took it seriously. And so I want to talk a little bit about that today, and I want to kind of highlight a couple of things that have happened over the last couple of months that really helped you grow and scale your business while you're working a full-time job. So I think this is gonna help a lot of people that are also watching. Ken is a delivery driver. He delivers parts. That's his job. He's on the road all day long, and he makes $5,000 a month minimum. We're going to keep it there. Sometimes he goes further than that, but we're just going to keep that just the average. And we're going to be asking him about how he does that today. So with that being said, let's kickstart this thing. Ken, how'd you get into the flipping phones and stuff like that, dude?
Man, I'd probably say just like looking on YouTube or something. And, down the road, I eventually found your YouTube channel. And that's how I basically started. So probably about a year and a half. I'd probably say like 2 years ago.
Yeah, because we've been talking for a while. And then you finally joined. You were very skeptical, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if this is going to work for me, that sort of thing, where everybody's at, right?
Yeah.
But you joined, we got you onboarded. I think we were able to do two onboarding calls, and then you had to back out or something after the first month because something happened. I remember it because I was at Arate Syndicate in St. Louis when that happened. But then you came back, I think it was about 3 months later, and you were like, "Hey man, I'm ready to take this thing seriously." And what transpired in that 3 months, dude? I'm kind of curious.
Yeah. Look, if I'm really being honest, it's honestly these type of videos, I was I was looking at them, and I just had to look back at my life. I'm like, I'm young, I'm wasting a whole bunch of time. You get what I'm saying? Like doing things I'm not supposed to be doing. So I'm like, I didn't pay for this program. Might as well use it to my full extent. And I'm watching these videos and I'm like, I could do the same thing. You know what I'm saying? So I just applied the knowledge and started off, crawl before I walked, and got in it.
So what were some of those things on the interviews that kept hitting you, as you were watching them? Because you were in the program when a lot of the interviews were happening. And what were the things that stuck out to you the most?
Number one, probably being like profit in the title.
Not sales, baby. Profit.
Yeah, it's for sure. And like I said, I talk about him all the time, but Isaac too. I remember his situation being a lot similar to mine. I have conversations with him and stuff. And I remember in his interview, he was saying it's some of the same type of things I was going through. So I'm like, if he can come back and do it, I could come back and do it. It's just like he was saying, he wasn't being consistent with it at first, and I wasn't either. And, just something clicked. I'm like, I got to do this.
So you have a full-time job, and a lot of other people out there have full-time jobs, and they don't think they can do this business outside of that full-time job. So explain what you do for a living, and then how you incorporate the phone flipping into what you do.
Well, I deliver parts basically, which is sweet, easy. So it's some downtime, hour break. So I'll take that break, or before I even go in, I'm reaching out, responding to leads. I done built a customer base too with repeats and stuff. So, even when I can't make it to do, reach outs every single hour or whatever, I got repeats coming in. So
there we go. I love it.
Yeah.
So you started off with the phone flipping, but nowadays you're doing a lot of VR.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I see you always posting those MetaQuest 3s, and we gotta give thanks to Matt here
for sure. Big thanks to Matt
for kind of introducing that entire industry to the Recelerator program, and really shining a light on it, because it's been a big deal. How many MetaQuest 3s do you think you've flipped at this point since they dropped?
Man, I've been going crazy on them. Probably like, if I had to give a wide range, maybe like 30, 35.
30?
Yeah.
Nice.
Pretty good.
Yeah, sometimes
Nice.
I'll sell them back locally. If I get it for a good enough price, I'll sell it back locally. But mainly just, eBay parting it out.
Love it. Love it.
I abuse it.
So you're on the road all the time, but you're also picking up phones while you're out on lunch breaks and things like that, right? Like that's the thing. What does a typical day look like for you, man? Whenever you start, like let's go through that. Give people a kind of an insight into Ken.
Okay, so first, schedule like for work is 8 to 5. So I wake up, probably do some reach outs, respond to leads, go into work, load the van up, go out to my first stop, do my couple stops. Then I get like an hour break, 30 minutes to an hour break. When I'm doing that, following up on Facebook, following up with Google leads, reaching out, usually have some repeats hitting me up. After work, get off 5, that's a good time. I say like 5 is a good time, it's not too late, get some phones. I got some local buyers too, so I'll hit them up, and we'll usually set up a time like at the end of the week, bring them on my phones, or if they're eBay worthy, put them on eBay same day, and it's a normal day.
There you go. Straight. Doesn't sound too difficult. Matt, do you have any questions on any of that, man? Like, I mean, he laid it out pretty simply there. The methodology.
No, not really. I mean, I think if you just follow the steps, this business is remarkably simple. If it feels super complicated, obviously, I think people are doing something wrong, and it doesn't sound like. I mean, for the income you're making working, I'm not surprised. I think it's awesome. And consoles are easy pickups. I mean, the deals are there. You just got to figure out how to prioritize and like maneuver your day so that you can, I'm guessing you probably have these spaces where you realize there's a lull in the day and you're like, okay, I can go pick up an item here and go pick up an item here. Do you have kind of that? Do you have something like that sort of cooked in your brain whenever you're, doing your deliveries and stuff?
Yeah, for sure. Or if like I said, like sometimes repeats are hitting me up, so it's easier to schedule with them. Or if I'm like doing a reach out or something, I do this almost all the time. I'll be like, I'll send you $20-$30 up front, market sold right now, and I'll pick it up at 5:30, 6 o'clock, and it works almost every time.
Nice.
Oh wow, that's so you'll prepay a little bit just to make sure the market is pending.
Yeah, I'm playing with profits on profits, so it is what it is.
There you go. Mm-hmm. Nice, dude. So nice. You found a way to. So you're basically doing the scheduled meetup model, just in just a little bit outside of your work schedule, or during your work schedule.
For sure.
Figuring out what time your lunch is going to be, what time you get off, and then you just basically schedule the meetups for that at that point. Now, I think it's interesting. We were talking the other day, and you messaged me. You were like, "Hey, should I go full time? Like, should I go full time in this business?" And you and me both talked a little bit about it. You told me your goal was to save up a pretty sizable nest egg of money. Yeah. And I told you no, for a little while anyway, because my mentor told me to have at least 25, 30 saved up. I didn't listen to him. I should have, but I didn't. So you're definitely much further on the right track than I was in the beginning, because I was probably 23 whenever I quit my job. But like you were also telling me about your job a little bit and how it's not hard, So, I mean, that's just another income stream. And one thing that I love is like you've been consistently hitting about $5,000 to $6,000 in profit per month from February until now, pretty consistently, right?
Yeah. I think every month it's been at least 5.
Those are the slowest months of the year for this business, by far. Like we're about to September 9th is the apple drop. From that time moving forward to the beginning of February is probably where you're going to be hitting the 10K months with ease too. So, I mean, never want to, just get ready,
Yeah.
So, well, I love it, man. So what would you say has been the biggest takeaway from like Recelerator so far for you, man?
I mean, I've taken away a lot of things, and I feel like I can apply them into like a lot of more situations in life. And I didn't really understand that when you guys were saying that. I know you guys said that like in the program, or you guys said it a bunch of times, but I just applied like consistency, putting in the work, even though when you don't want to do it, having discipline. So those three things right there, like I said. And another thing is that I learned, like with the program, is basically like, you taking all these people's knowledge who've done it for years and years, and they're basically making your life simpler. So I've actually like bought some other programs that have nothing to do with flipping or anything, and I just see how like, it's easier to take their knowledge and do it instead of you trying to make all the mistakes, or you doing all the mistakes, or trying to do it on your own. You know what I'm saying?
So you're saying it's kind of like a cheat code.
Basically, right. That's exactly
And we put it in video game terms, right? Like
right.
that's what I call them. Like whenever I get into like mentorship programs and stuff, nowadays it's more masterminds, because you can go into those and you can find a specific person who does a specific thing. And dude, their knowledge is like next level. Like that was one of the reasons Google Ads became a thing for me, is because I found somebody who was able to help me a little bit. And they kind of helped me unlock a piece like for free too. Like they were like, oh, like it was a really duh moment for them. Kind of like what we do with you guys in the program, where we just like answer a question. And it's like a really duh moment. And it's like, oh, I should have probably known that. But like, that's what these guys do for me, is they'll just say something to them. It's like basic knowledge, and they just like unlock it for me without any effort. So, well, that's awesome. And I'm really glad to hear you're doing well. And I can't wait for you to, hit your first 10K month. And I don't think that's very far around the corner, dude. I really don't.
Sometimes, like, yeah, I was gonna say, sometimes I'll just count like, cause I've had I think two, like I've had one like 17900 month, and then I had like 1 8 month or something. I'll count that with my job, and I'll be like, I hit 10.
Between my income streams, I did it.
Yeah,
love it. I mean, hey, you did it. I mean, you hit the number, right?
Yeah. So
yep.
So I remember whenever I was talking to Jared, and you probably watched his interview too.
yeah.
So Jared was consistently around 6K a month. Like that was his thing, and he like couldn't break past it for some reason. And I remember talking with him on a call, and I was like I was just asking him questions, and the one thing that I found was he was the one that was actually like holding himself back, right? So I said to him, so a mentor told me one time, he was like, whatever you put on a pedestal, you can't have, right? So if you make a certain thing a specific goal and you like put it up above everything else, that means you can't have it most of the time, right? So whenever I told him that, it kind of unlocked it for him. And in the next month, he hit 10,000, because whatever you put on a pedestal, you can't have, right?
Right.
So once you realize that, it's a mindset shift, is what it is. And then it just kind of unlocks everything, because this whole business is math, right? Like how many reach outs do you do a day?
Maybe like 10 to 20.
What if you increased it to 40?
Yeah, that'll be
You make
great.
more money?
Yeah, for sure.
What if you increase your ad spend from 15 to 30? Think you'd make more money?
For sure.
Right? So the whole business is math, right? Like that's what a lot of people don't realize, is everything you're doing right now, if you just do more volume, you make more. And me and Matt figured this out a while ago. Well, I figured it out a while ago anyway. I know Matt did too, and Aaron knows it. Like all of the big players know it. Isaac knows it, So, yeah, that's how you're gonna get your first 10K, dude. Probably get it in the next 2 months now.
Hopefully.
So
yeah, I mean, I'm curious. So, Ken, let's assume you do start hitting like 8, 10K consistently. Like, at what point do you just kind of peace out from this job and be like, all right, I'm gonna go do this. Like, what's the I guess the entry level to that decision for you?
Yeah, to be honest, I really can't even say because, like I said, and it's also something Chris said. I know he said it like when I was talking to him a few days ago. He was like, if it's been working, do it for 2 or 3 years, and you could
Hmm.
just keep up with that. I mean, I
Yeah,
feel like it will eventually get to a point. It'll probably be overwhelming, but so far it hasn't been too. It comes with stress, but with anything, you know, that's normal.
yeah,
So
yeah. I
I
mean,
feel like,
you've got some sustainable, what I call predictable success from the routine that you've established, and I think that's really nice. Um, what would you say is like throughout the day? Like, I'm just kind of curious, and this is just more of like a personal preference, but like, what's like your favorite thing to flip? Like, what do you really like? I think everybody likes this process of reselling. Yeah, I still like it. Like I picked up an item yesterday. I'm gonna talk about Tuesday. I found a rock band item yesterday, and I don't flip a lot of that stuff, and I haven't talked about it hardly at all. But I found a really nice rare item, and I was like actually kind of stoked about it. So like, what I don't know, like what types of deals actually get you kind of hyped?
man, if I'm being honest, I'm probably gonna have to go with iPhones. But other
Yeah,
than that, if we go into the console side, I'm gonna have to go with the Quest 3s for sure.
cool. Okay, cool.
The Quest 3 is such an easy flip. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I actually found, so I bought one 2 days ago and I actually found your sold listing online. And I was like, oh, cool. So I know exactly what this thing is going to sell for because you literally had sold it like the previous day. And I'm like, oh, well, Ken already did it. And that's a cool thing about like in Recelerator is like you start seeing a lot with the console guys, like they're sold items. Like I can go and I can find Moss's listings right now,
Yeah,
Yeah.
with the little fire emojis that are on the listing, and I know exactly what that thing is going to sell for. That's a beautiful thing about being like in a community is what these other guys are actually selling stuff for.
True.
Cool. So, but yeah, man. I mean, I'm really proud of you. You've come a long way, and you've only been doing this for like a year total. Seriously, anyway. Um,
consistent.
Consistently, yeah. And yeah, it was like that Hormozy quote that I gave you the other day. Like, find something that works, and then just do it for 36
Mhm.
months, and like your life will be completely different at the end. And it's true. Like, you've been doing this a year consistently now, making $5,000 a month outside of your job consistently, and you know, come the holidays, I mean, that's probably going to shoot up to 10 for all 3 or 4 months just due to that consistency. Because you're probably following up with your customers and everything too, huh?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, yeah. So you got a repeat customer base already. Half of your business is like repeats at this point, right?
Yep.
Yeah, dude. That's
That's
gonna come
awesome.
to fruition around
Good for
holiday
you.
times.
Yeah, I was gonna say another
Yeah.
thing is I've been also getting the reviews on Google My Business. So I think
Hey.
you remember
Yes.
I think I was asking you yesterday. You remember I was asking you about that sixfold.
Oh yeah, nice, dude.
Yeah,
You
I
got
ended
it.
up yeah, I got it for 600. So
Heck yeah.
I actually got that from Google My Business, and he actually had an
Nice.
iPhone 11 with it too. It had a
Nice.
password lock, no iCloud, so I bought it for 40. You already know how that goes. So
Wow. Yeah, that's easy $90 profit there.
Wow.
Easy. Maybe a little more. That's awesome, dude. I'm glad I was able to help out on that deal.
That's
Yeah, man,
cool.
like whenever you don't see those listings on eBay, I usually just like go down back to the like with the Fold 6 there. I'll just go back to the Fold 5 and like figure out like what it was selling for, and it was selling for like 700, and I'd be like, probably do about 6 on this one. That way, just to be safe. So I'm glad you got it for that good price. That's awesome, man. Well, with that being said, I mean, I think that about concludes the interview, man. Like, we'll put this on the podcast. And Matt, do you have any last questions on any of this?
Um, I always like to get people's take on. I think it's still interesting that they'll look at this and they'll go, okay, well this guy's young, he's got time to burn, or they'll look at me and go, well these guys are seasoned, they know how it works, and I think a lot of people still say, oh well it works for you, but I'm not sure it's going to work for me. What would you say to the people that are of that like certain or current mindset?
Yeah, gotta crawl before you walk for sure. Yeah.
Uh,
I would say just jump in it. And because when I first jumped in it, it was uncomfortable. You don't know how to piece everything together, but as you do it more and more and more, start to develop a schedule or how to do things, make things easier, make your whole life easier, basically.
yeah,
So
yeah. I think the older we get, we have to learn how to keep learning. Like that's like something is like you know you forget when you're good at something and you got good at it when you were young and now you're like older you don't remember it. Like I played college soccer and it took me like probably 8 to 10 years of not being great at my position before I was good at it and ended up going to college to play soccer. But like I remind myself of that all the time because it's like there's a time you kind of sucked at this, Matt. You weren't very great at it, and I'm like yeah, and so I applaud you for taking action, Ken, because I think that's the consistent thing. Like Chris and I still have to make that decision every day. Is like, am I going to get up and I'm going to act on the knowledge that I have? Because if I really do, like, it's going to redefine my circumstances. Like, all I've got to do is just keep pushing forward. And you did that. It was some days it wasn't sexy. Some days it wasn't as productive as others. But you can't not keep doing that and not seeing results. Like, it's going to produce some pretty amazing results over time. And we're here having this conversation. I just think that's super cool, bro. So good for you.
for sure, appreciate it.
Yeah, man.
Yep. Just I'm always telling people, I always go back to Matt's quote actually. Everything is hard until it's not, right? Like I remind myself of that all the time. And then something Hormozy says all the time is like the first 20 hours is the hardest. Like that first 20 hours of learning is the hardest in the entire thing. A good example of this was like today. So I actually messaged Matt about this today. I've been putting off learning how to make YouTube thumbnails for like 5 years. And this morning I went and watched a YouTube video and learned how to make them in 10 minutes. So it's kind of like, like once again, we go back to cheat codes a little bit, right? Courses or videos and things like that. Like people there's already a road paved out there, right? Like it's already there, whether it's Recelerator or whether it's something else. Somebody's been there already. And like being able to like get in on that knowledge firsthand and like just be able to ask. Like I remember like in the beginning with you asked a ton of questions. Like it was every day, and I've come to realize that with new students, that's just how it is. Like me and Matt, like Matt's the accountability coach, right? Like that first month and a half is just nonstop questions. And we welcome that because we know that we were there. Like I remember I blew up Dave's phone, over and over, probably for the good 2 months, as I was learning. And another thing I see with a lot of, we coach a lot of men in the program is a lot of them won't ask questions because they feel like bad about asking questions. And you weren't like I welcome the questions because if you don't know something, the best way to learn it is to ask. So, and I got to commend you on that, dude. Like you ask a lot of questions and that's a good thing. So keep doing it. Like that'll get you really far in life. Just being like, okay, how do I do this? And you're also a problem solver on top of that. Like you figure things out, and I love that. So like those two things where you number one, you'll problem solve, and then number two, if you still don't know, you'll ask questions. It's a big thing, and I think you've gone through the course like 2 or 3 times at this point too. Like, so, which I got to commend you for that too, man. Like going through it multiple times is a big deal. Because every time you go through it, you got a different perspective. So
it's true.
I love that. Well, I mean, this has been another episode of the Smart Flip. Glad to finally have you on, Ken.
Appreciate it. Thank you for having me on. Thank you, Matt.
Yeah. You're welcome, bro.
And if you guys are looking to get some of the sauce that Ken got into, and you're looking to join Recelerator, we work with people that are currently making about $1,000 a month in profit or more, or have done it in the past. We don't work with people under that. You can join my starter kit program if you want to do that. But if you want to take things to the next level like Ken did, feel free to reach out to me. There also should be an application in the YouTube area below this. And yeah, appreciate you coming on, Ken. And I'm also, we'll do another interview once you hit 15K.
All right.
Hey, thank you, Ken. Appreciate you, bro.
Yeah, for sure.
Later.
See you.
All right.